around for a while that your favorite hockey team wasn't going to be participating in the Stanley Cup playoffs. It's still newsworthy whenever the official elimination comes. And man, I can't bring myself to get down about where this team is headed. I'm sorry. I just can't, even in that context. Good morning to you. Good Monday morning. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports. This is Daily Shot of Penguins. It comes your way bright and early every weekday if you're into football and or baseball. I also offer daily shots of Steelers and Pirates in the same place that you found this. Blackhawks 3, Penguins 1 last night in Chicago. They never went in that building for whatever ridiculous reason. The Hawks have been terrible for more than a decade now, and the Penguins just keep losing there. In this case, it was Spencer Knight just stoning them for the better part of the night. Blackhawks got a couple of breakaways on Alex Nedeljkovic, converted both of those, and that was that. Meaning on the season, too. And it's not optimal. You know, getting eliminated from the playoffs with 4 games to go is not the way anybody wants their season to end. So I'm not going to sit here and Pollyanna that part of it. I'm certainly not going to do anything to try to whitewash the opening 6 to 7 weeks of this season when the Penguins were an absolute joke defensively and in goal, you know, which is kind of a bad combination. But to the credit of everybody involved, I mean, they didn't solve it, but they got better in that regard. In some cases, it was just individual players who'd gotten off to terrible starts. Erik Karlsson, Matt Grzelcyk. Easy to forget now since he's no longer here, but Marcus Pettersson, of all people, Mr. Consistency, got off to a terrible start. Chris Letang wasn't terrible, but he was kind of, you know, he was kind of flatlined. There just wasn't much going on there. Ryan Graves, I'm tired of jumping on that one. Tristan Jarry obviously had maybe the worst stretch of hockey in his life. And, well, here I am citing nothing but names that are on the back end. But that's really been where the problems have originated and to some extent stayed. That's not to absolve everybody up front, because a lot of what had gone wrong, especially early, could have at least been helped by forwards doing their job, which they weren't doing up until about 2 months into the season. But anybody who's had any association with any level of hockey will know what I'm saying when I put forth that, you know, it's a little tiring covering for people who can't do their jobs behind you if you're the one up front. It's physically exhausting and it's mentally exhausting, and it's dispiriting is probably the best term. In this game just yesterday, the way Spencer Knight was playing for Chicago, he was really, really good. He's not always, but he can be sometimes. The Penguins weren't quite as good as they were in Dallas. They had a terrific game previous day in Dallas, but they still had more than their fair share of grade A's, and Knight was there. He was good. Then on a power play, Karlsson makes one of those ill-advised pinches. Hawks go right around him. 2-on-1 turned into a mini break, and there went the first goal. And you could just see right away, you could just like, man, we've been doing this for almost 40 minutes. And the first thing we mess up, the first mistake, back of the net. Third period, same thing. Same thing. Penguins are putting on all the pressure. Knight's making all the saves. Connor Timmins gets just scorched at the Pittsburgh blue line, turned inside out. By the way, we're seeing from a lot of these guys lately, these self-made out of thin air breaks that other teams are generating against them. And that made it 2-0. We're way, way too far out to start getting into what this team could look like in 2025 and 26. Kyle Dubas has a lot of work to do. He has moves that he can make, including moving out some of his $5 billion draft picks, maybe for players who are closer to the NHL or ready for the NHL, albeit still younger. But all I'm going to suggest at this ridiculously early stage is that the back in general, not that the forwards are perfect, but the back in general, the defense men on this team, the goaltending on this team, it needs to be addressed from top to bottom. That means don't leave any topic unturned because it might be taboo. Letang, for instance. Carlson, for instance. Graves' contract, for instance. Jari's contract, for instance. The general state of both the defense and the goaltending. I'm not going to say nobody's here now, but I'm going to say that by the time the Pittsburgh Penguins are back in the Stanley Cup playoffs, those are going to be the two areas that look the most different. So might as well get on with it. Or you'll hear someone else around this time next year talking the way Ned did last night with Taylor Haas, our beat writer in Chicago.
We knew it was going to take a lot of things to go right. We were just trying to focus on ourselves, and ultimately, if we didn't win, we knew that there really wasn't a shot. So it was you just had to go into every game and playing like it was the last one, and it's a tough situation. It's a long flight from Dallas to here, back to back, and it was an emotional game yesterday. Obviously, playing a really good team, we dominated the game pretty much start to finish. It was a really good win for us, and then just kind of I think long travel afterwards, and then kind of being at the hotel all day just kind of dragged on a little bit. And I think you kind of saw that in the first period. It's not like it was a bad first period, but just both teams looked a little loose, and I think they were able to get to their game a little quicker than we were able to get to ours.
He didn't say anything wrong. He's just telling the truth. But man, you actually want there to be some sort of disappointment and devastation. I understand this team got hit with that probably harder than at any other stage of the season with that loss to the Islanders that ended the recent 4-game winning streak. But my goodness, being out of the playoffs can never be normal, and I know Ned agrees with that. When we come back, J1Q. This episode is brought to you by Bet Online, your number one source for all your summer sports needs this season, from Major League Baseball, golf, NHL, NBA playoffs. Get the latest odds and lines, including all team matchups, player props, odds on just about everything that's out there. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to get in on the action. Bet Online, where the game starts. Today's J1Q comes from Josh, who says, DK, I know you've discussed the left side of the Penguins' defense, but do you think there's a possibility Ryan Graves gets sent down to Wilkes-Barre next season if they find better options on the left side between now and then? Yes, is my flat answer to that. And if anybody doubts that, all you'd need to be reminded of is that Kyle Dubas sent Tristan Jarry down with an even bigger contract at a far more important position. For anybody who doesn't know this, when a player with an NHL contract gets demoted to the American League, they're not getting their pay cut unless it's a two-way contract, and neither the Graves nor the Jarry contracts are. They get paid the same, whether they're riding a bus, whether they're in Wilkes-Barre or Allentown or Rochester or right here in Pittsburgh. They get paid the same. Also, they count the same against your cap. Now, obviously, you're going to have to pay somebody else an NHL salary to take your place in Pittsburgh, so that raises your NHL cap figure, but you do it, and you're going to do it. You have to do it. You can bring Graves in to training camp. You can treat him like a near equal. You can have him be in the NHL locker room and all that other stuff and give him a chance, another chance. But if you don't see something different, and I mean see it really, really, really soon in that camp, it's time to start recognizing where he's going to be in this hierarchy for the remainder of his term. Now, to me, what becomes more complicated about this issue, and you didn't bring this up, but you don't have a whole lot on the left side of the defense, as I mentioned in that episode that you referenced from about a week ago. Among lefties, you've got Owen Pickering, who's very much unproven and had to be sent back this year. You've got Ryan Shea, who was just signed to a 1-year extension. I would imagine that that's to put him in some kind of Chad Ruhwedel-ish role, but they do seem legitimately happy with him of late, so okay. And that, my friends, is that. Matt Grzelcyk is up after a 1-year contract that he signed with the Penguins last summer for $2.75 million. Maybe they'll keep him. I don't know. P.O. Joseph, also on a 1-year contract. I am almost never in favor of seeing defensemen play on their wrong sides. I get what the Penguins are doing currently by having Connor Timmins on the right, Erik Karlsson on the left, at least when Karlsson bothers to stay on that side, which he often hasn't in the past couple of weeks. But that's not an answer either. Your top defense prospect is obviously Harrison Brunick. I happen to think he's that by a mile. He's right-handed. So, yeah, you can kind of see just by having a discussion about any one of these individuals on the defense corps how much work remains to get this to where it needs to be. To quote one very prominent official in hockey operations, long, long way to go. I appreciate the question. I appreciate everybody listening to Daily Shot of Penguins. Be back with another one of these tomorrow.